Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Dr. Hassanat. Today I am going to cover about the mechanics of breathing. So before going to the core discussion, we should learn some important pressure related to respiration. Basically, those pressure will determine whether the lung will inflate or deflate. So what are those pressures? Intrapleural pressures, transthoracic pressure, intraalveolar pressure or called intrapulmonary pressure, transpulmonary pressure, and the fifth one is transrespiratory pressures. Now, here you see the lung, and within the lung, this is the alveoli, the air space, and the pressure within the alveoli, that is called the intraalveolar pressures. As the alveoli is directly connected with the environment through the airway, that is why at the resting level, the intraalveolar pressure is equal to the atmospheric pressure. That is 1 atmospheric pressure or 760 millimeter of mercury. That is why this intraalveolar pressure in resting condition that is considered as 0. Why it is 0? Because it is same as the atmospheric pressures. Okay. So this pressure is called intraalveolar pressure. Another name is intrapulmonary pressures or simply called airway pressures. And it is considered as 0. Though it is actually this is not the 0. This is actually, this 0 means it is equal to the atmospheric pressure, that is 760 millimeter of mercury on 1 atmospheric pressures. Okay. Now, this is the space between the parietal pleura and visceral pleura, and this space is called pleural cavity, and the pressure within this space is called intrapleural pressure. And the intrapleural pressure at the resting level, that is at the functional residual capacity level, that is minus 5 centimeter of water pressures. So why this pressure is negative? This is the first question. How this pressure, negative intrapleural pressure, is created, and why is this the negative value? Okay, let me explain. First of all, here you can see the two layer of pleura. This is the outer layer or parietal pleura, and that is attached to the inner surface of the chest wall. And this is the visceral pleura that is attached to the viscera. Okay. Actually, there are two opposing force that will create a vacuum in between these two pleural layer. That is why that vacuum pressure, that means that will create a negative pressures. So what are those? Suppose this is this parietal pleura is attached to the inner surface of the chest wall. Normally, the chest wall elasticity that will provide a outward force, and along with the chest wall, the parietal pleura also pulled outwards. So that is the outward force. In other hand, due to presence of the elastic tissue in the lung, that is lung elasticity or lung elastic tissue, that will try to or tends to recoil inwards. So this is the elastic recoiling tendency of the lung that will provide inward force. Another inward force also play the role, that is called surface tension. Surface tension also try to collapse the lung or tends to collapse the lung. So there is actually two inward force. Number one, elasticity of the lung tissue and the surface tension. So these two pressure acts as a inward force. In the other hand, the chest wall elasticity that will provide the outward force. And now these two opposing force will create a relative vacuum between these two pleural layer or in the pleural space. That is why this intrapleural pressure is always negative. And the value is minus 5 centimeter of water at the resting level, or at the end of tidal expiration, that is also called at the forced functional residual capacity level. Okay, now this is value, this 5 centimeter means this subatmospheric pressure that is actually 5 unit less than the intraalveolar pressure, as intraalveolar pressure is equal to atmospheric pressure, and the intrapleural pressure is 5 centimeter of water less than the intraalveolar pressure or environmental pressure. That is why the intrapleural pressure is minus. Why it is negative, I have already explained. And why it is 5? Because it is 5 centimeter of water less pressure than the intraalveolar or environmental pressure. So this is the subatmospheric pressures. Another factors that contribute to the development of the negative intrapleural pressure, that there is a continuous lymphatic suctions. That suction will produce the suction pressure and negative pressure. That also contribute to development of these negative pressures. Okay, and this lymphatic pump also helps to prevent the accumulation of fluid in the intrapleural space. Okay, now this negative intrapleural pressure, what is the importance of this negativity? This minimum, this negative minus 5 centimeter or minus 4 centimeter of water, this negative pressure is required to hold the lung open or to hold the alveoli open, because you know negative pressure always try to oppose the two layer of pleura, visceral pleura and parietal pleura. But the parietal pleura, you know, it is attached to the chest wall. So what will happen? This negative interpleural pressure that will pulls or that will provide a traction, outward traction to the visceral pleura, and that actually helps the lung to remain open at the resting condition. Now, if this negativity increases, that means say this interpleural pressure become -7, -6 or -7 or -8 centimeter, that means negativity increase but the interpleural pressure is decreased. That will actually, so this negative pressure will pull the visceral pleura outwards, so lung will expand. But what will happen? This interpleural pressure increases, that means the negativity decreases. Say if it is -5 to -4, -3, so that will this, if this negativity decreases or interpleural pressure increases, that will cause deflation or collapse of the lung. So this intrapleural pressure is a deflating pressures. Okay, but if it is remain negative, then it can it keeps the lung opens. But if this interpleural pressure increases, that will deflate the lung. If this interpleural pressure negative, that will inflate the lung. Is it okay? Do you understand or not? It is so simple. Now the next thing, there is a pressure called transmural pressure. Transmural means the pressure difference across the wall. So across the alveolar wall, the pressure difference is called transpulmonary pressure. So that is the difference between intraalveolar pressure and intrapleural pressures. Normally, at the resting level, intraalveolar pressure remains same as the atmospheric pressure, that is considered as 0. And just I have shown that at the resting position, this intrapleural pressure, it is -5. So the result will be +5 centimeter of water. So this difference between the intraalveolar pressure and the pressure outside the alveoli, that is the interpleural pressure, this difference is called transpulmonary pressure. And transpulmonary pressure, this is actually considered as inflating pressures. That means now the result is +5 centimeter of water. This is the transpulmonary pressure. This +5 centimeter of water, transpulmonary pressure, helps the lung to remain open, so keeps the lung open. But if what will happen if this transpulmonary pressure increases, say it is +6 or +7 or +8, what will happen? This will inflate the lung. Okay, but if this transpulmonary pressure decreases, what will happen? That will deflate the lung. If the increase of transpulmonary pressure, it causes inflation of the lung. So that is why this pressure is called inflating pressures. Is it okay? Now, there is another transmural pressure that is actually calculated by making the difference between the intrapleural pressure and the atmospheric pressure. So here the intrapleural pressure is at the resting level, it is -5 centimeter of water, and atmospheric pressure do not change, it always remain constant. So that is considered as 0. So the difference is -5. That means transthoracic pressure is equal or remains same as the intrapleural pressure. So sometimes this intrapleural pressure also considered as transthoracic pressures. Is it clear or not? Okay. Now, the third type of transmural pressure, that is called transrespiratory pressure. So what is transrespiratory pressure? It is the pressure difference between the intraalveolar pressure and the atmospheric pressures. So intraalveolar pressure, the resting condition, it is 0, and also the atmospheric pressure is also considered 0 because atmospheric pressure is always constant. It will not change. So the result is 0. So the transpulmonary respiratory pressure, it is at the resting level, it is 0. When this transrespiratory pressure remains 0, that means there will be no movement of air between the lung and the atmosphere. Okay, but if the transpulmonary pressure become negative, what will happen? The air will enter into the lung from the environment. Another thing may happen, when this respiratory pressure become positive, then air will flow in opposite direction. That means air will flow out of the lung, that is from the lung to the environment. Is it clear? This is the very basic thing you should understand if before understanding the mechanics of breathing. Now, what will happen during inspirations and how this pressure changes during the process of inspirations? Let's see. So there is a inspiratory center located in the medulla called dorsal respiratory group of neurons, and that dorsal respiratory group of neurons sends the inspiratory RAM signal to the inspiratory muscle via phrenic nerve and intercostal nerve. You know what are the inspiratory muscles that acts during the quiet inspiration? It's principally it is the diaphragm, and also there is a contribution from the external intercostal muscle. Okay, so what will happen when this diaphragm contracts? That diaphragm will goes down, and that will increase the vertical diameter of the thoracic cavity. And due to contraction of the intercostal muscles, that will increase the anterior, posterior, and the transverse diameter of the thoracic cavity. That means the net result is the chest wall will expand. Okay, so what will happen if the chest wall expands? You know, the parietal pleura that is attached to the inner surface of the chest wall. So when the chest wall expands, that parietal pleura also pulled outward. So what will happen? This vacuum between these two pleural layers, parietal pleura and visceral pleura, during the expansion of the chest cavity, this vacuum volume that will increase. So if the vacuum volume is increased, the pressure will be decreased. This is according to Boyle's law. Volume increase, pressure will decrease. But the volume, if the volume decrease, pressure will increase. This is called according to Boyle's law. Now, what will happen? So here you can see as this vacuum volume in between these two pleural layers that is increases. So the pressure become more negative. That means intrapleural pressure decreases. Initially, during resting condition, it was -5. Now it decreases to a level of -7.5 centimeter of water, or you may consider it -8 centimeter of water. So what will happen? This negativity increases. Now, if you calculate the transpulmonary pressures, that is the difference between the alveolar pressures, intraalveolar pressure and intrapleural pressure. Now you can calculate out. Here is the now that intrapleural pressure become -7.5. That means the transpulmonary pressure +7.5. So what is the change of transpulmonary pressure? At the resting condition, it was plus 5 centimeter of water. Now this is increased by 2.5 centimeter of water and become plus 7.5. So as you know, this I have already told you, this transpulmonary pressure is an inflating pressures. So what that means, when the transpulmonary pressure increases, that will inflate the lung. Now let's see, as this pressure increases, that will pulls the visceral pleura outwards. What will happen? The lung will expand. If the lung will expand, the pressure within the alveoli, again, this alveolar volume increases, space increases as alveoli is relaxing. So the pressure within the alveoli, it will drop. At the resting condition, it was 0. Now during the expansion, this pressure become negative and 1 unit decreases and the result is -1. Now the intraalveolar pressure is -1 centimeter of water. So what will be change will occur in the transrespiratory pressures. Transrespiratory pressure means intraalveolar pressure minus atmospheric pressure. Now the intraalveolar pressure, here you can see it is -1 centimeter of water and atmospheric pressure is 0. So the result is -1. That means now the transrespiratory pressure or airway pressure become negative. And I have already told you, when this transrespiratory pressure become negative, that will causes the movement of air from environment to into the lung. And this 1 unit decrease in transrespiratory pressure or intraalveolar pressure, that will sufficient to draw 500 ml of air into the lung. And this 500 ml of air, that is called tidal volume. Is it clear? Okay. Now let's see the opposite thing. What will happen during expiration? Say the inspiratory ramp signal from the dorsal respiratory group of neurons ceases. So what will happen? This diaphragm and the inspiratory intercostal muscle, that will relax. That means diaphragm now back pulled up. Okay. So the chest wall, ultimately during inspiration, chest cavity diameter increases. Now the chest wall will contract. Okay. So what will happen? So this will causes the contraction of the chest wall due to relaxation of the inspiratory muscles. That means now the vacuum between the visceral pleura, and the parietal pleura, this volume, it will increase or decrease, because chest wall is contracting. So this time visceral pleura also pulled inward. So the space between visceral pleura and parietal pleura, it will decrease. That means that will decrease the vacuum volume. So according to Boyle's law, if the volume decreases, the pressure will increases. So now the interpleural pressure again increases, because at the end of the inspiration, it was -7.5. Now the negativity decrease. That means interpleural pressure now increase. It's back to the -5 centimeter of waters. And the transthoracic pressure also remains same. If you making the difference between interpleural pressure and the environment atmospheric pressure, the result will be same, that is -5, as same as the interpleural pressure. So that is why transthoracic pressure and interpleural pressure considered as same. Now what will happen if now this interpleural pressures increases? So what will be the transpulmonary pressure? Now again, the difference between interalveolar pressures and interpleural pressure, now it is +5 centimeter of water. That means at the end of the inspiration, it was, in the previous slide, it was 7.5. Now this transpulmonary pressure decreases, 7.5 to decrease to the level of +5 centimeter of water. That means if the transpulmonary pressure decreases, it will inflate or deflate the lung? It will deflate the lung. It is increases, it will inflate, but if it is decreases, it will deflate the lung. So it will deflate the lung. So what will happen? Now here you can see the alveoli that will compressed, and also this alveolar elasticity that will recoil back. and already this alveoli is filled with air during where air enter into the alveoli during inspiration. So alveoli is filled with air, and also the recoil pressure of the chest wall and the lung elastic tissue, that will create a positive pressure within the alveoli. So it is now the pressure is plus 1 centimeter of water. So intra-alveolar pressure, sorry, here I have made a mistake. This is not minus. Actually, this pressure is positive. Okay. Now this alveolar pressure become positive. So if you calculate the transrespiratory pressures, what will be the result? Transrespiratory pressure also become positive. So now what will happen if this transrespiratory become positive? That will cause movement of air out of the lung. That is movement of air from lung to the environment. So 500 ml of air, this 1 unit increase in transrespiratory pressure, that will sufficient to draw 500 ml of the air out of the lung. Once again, it is the tidal volume. So what is tidal volume? The amount of air that is normally inspired or expired in each breath, that is called tidal volume. That is why the tidal volume is 500 ml of air. But it may increase if these intra-alveolar pressures become more positive. Say if it is +2 during the forced expiration, it will expel more amount of air. Okay, you know the forced expiratory volume. Okay, so is it clear how expiration takes place? So what are how this pressure changes during inspiration and expirations? Is it clear or not? Okay, I think it is clear. Now again, I have already explained in the figure what is intrapleural pressure, the pressure in the thin space between the lung pleura and the chestal pleura. And the normal intrapleural pressure at the beginning of inspiration is minus 5 centimeter of water. But at the end of the inspiration, this negativity increase by intrapleural pressure decreases, that is minus 7.5 at the during or at the end of inspirations. Importance, I have already told you, this negative pressure is required to hold the lung open to their resting level. This minus 5 centimeter of water, this negative intrapleural pressure is required to hold the lung open to their resting level. And it also prevents the collapse of the lung. There are actually others, 2 factors that also prevent collapse of the lung. That is actually, you know, the residual volume and the surfactants. Later on, we'll talk detail about those factors. Now, during the normal inspiration, increasing the negativity of the intrapleural pressure, that means intrapleural pressure decrease from minus 5 to minus 7.5 centimeter of water pressures and causes expansion of the lung. Okay. Now, I have already explained how is the negative intrapleural pressure is created and why it is negative. Actually, the pleural space is a relative vacuum. I have already told you. Another factors, during development, the chest wall grows faster than the lung, produce a relative vacuum in the pleural space. So this vacuum is actually produced since birth or since the intrauterine life during the process of development. Okay. So the lung have the tendency to collapse due to its elasticity, elastic recoil tendency, and the surface tension of the lung. That these 2 force actually provide the inward force, and the chest wall has the tendency to expand. That means chest wall elasticity that will tends to expand or provide the outward force. So the lung recoil inwardly and the chest wall recoil outwardly. What will happen? These equal and opposing forces cause the intrapleural pressure to be negative or less than atmospheric pressure, subatmospheric pressure. That is why intrapleural pressure is negative. Is it clear? And also, I have already told you there is a continuous lymphatic suction that will also contribute to development of the negative intrapleural pressures. Here, I'm trying to show you again what is actually happening. to create the negative intrapleural pressure. This is the chest wall, and chest wall elasticity provide the outward force to expand, and the lung elasticity and the surface tension that will provide the inward force, and these two opposing pressure will create a vacuum between these two pleural layer, and that is why this pressure becomes subatmospheric or negative. Is it clear? So it is a very common question you will face during your professional examination, and invariably each and every student will face this question. You will be asked by your examiner what is intrapleural pressure and why intrapleural pressure is always negative. Okay, and what will happen if this chest wall is punctured, if any air will enter into the lung. That is in the case of pneumothorax. So this negativity will be lost, this pressure become positive, and that will cause collapse of the lung. Okay, so intraalveolar pressures, I have already told you the air pressure inside the lung alveoli, and that is equal to atmospheric pressure, which is considered to be 0 during normal inspiration. As this alveolar pressure decreases to about -1 centimeter of water, and the slight negative pressure pulls 500 ml of air into the lung. During expiration, this alveolar pressure becomes positive, and that will forces 500 ml of air out of the lung. Now, I have already explained. Now you can write it down. How will you write this mechanism during the examination, during your written examination or SAQ? So signal from the respiratory centers, and that signal via phrenic nerve and intercostal nerve, it will reaches the inspiratory muscle and causes contraction of the inspiratory muscles. So what will happen? Due to this contraction, chest wall will expand. So the vacuum volume, it will increases. So if the vacuum volume increases, the pressures of the vacuum, that is intrapleural pressure, become more negative, because at the resting it was -5. Now it is -7.5 centimeter. So it is more negative. That means intrapleural pressure decreases. So what will be the transpulmonary pressure? So according to the calculations, you will get the transpulmonary pressures plus 7.5. So that means transpulmonary pressure increases. So this is the inflating pressure that will cause inflation of the lung. So, and that inflation pressure pulled the visceral pleura outward. So the lung will expand, and the intraalveolar pressure become negative. If the lung expand, the visceral pleura pull outward. There's alveoli, alveolar also pulled outward. So alveoli relaxes. So the volume of alveoli increases. The pressure will goes down. That is, now the intraalveolar pressure become negative. So what will happen? The transrespiratory pressure become negative. If this transrespiratory pressure or airway pressure become negative, that will causes flow of air from the environment into the lung. So air enters into the lung and inspirations take place. Is it clear? Now the process mechanism of expirations. So it will be very easy for you to understand. The cessation of the inspiratory signals that causes relaxation of the inspiratory muscles. Then diameter of the chest wall decreases. This time, this vacuum that is in between the two pleural layers, this volume of vacuum decreases. So if the vacuum decreases, the pressure will be increases. Now this pressure, it will increases from -7.5 to -5 centimeter of waters. That means at the initial resting condition. So what will happen? The transthoracic pressure decreases. Sorry, transthoracic. It is actually, this is not transthoracic. This is transpulmonary pressures. This is transpulmonary pressure. This is transpulmonary pressure. So now this transpulmonary pressure decreases, because at the end of the inspiration, this transpulmonary pressure, it was plus 7.5 in the previous slide during inspiration. Now this pressure decreases to the level of plus 5. Now if the transpulmonary pressure decreases, what will happen? It will deflate the lung. Okay, so the lungs recoil back, and the intraalveolar pressure As you know, during the inspiration, air is already accumulated within the alveoli, and now the lung is recoiled back. It will produce pressures, positive pressures within the alveoli. Now the intra-alveolar pressure become positive, plus 1 centimeter of water. So what will be the transrespiratory pressure? This is also become positive. That means an intra-alveolar pressure and transrespiratory pressure is same. Okay, so what will happen? That will causes movement of air out of the lung, and the expiration takes place. Okay, is it so? It is very difficult or simple? I think now it will be very easy for you to understand the mechanics of respirations. So here you can see the pressure and volume change diagram that happens during the process of respiration. Say during the resting condition, you know, this is the intrapleural pressure, that is -5 centimeter of water, and this is the intra-alveolar pressure that is maintained at the 0 level at the resting conditions during the process of inspiration. And the difference that is called this difference is the transpulmonary pressure. But when during the inspirations progress, this intrapleural pressure falls or decreases, and also intra-alveolar pressure become negative. So that this difference, that means transpulmonary pressure is the difference between intra-alveolar pressure and the interalveolar pressure. This transpulmonary pressure, this difference will increase, and due to this increased transpulmonary pressure, that will push the air into the lung. So this the volume increases. So it will drag 500 ml of air into the lung, or 0.5 liter per ml, 500 ml. That means, say, initially transpulmonary pressure at the resting level, it was +5, but during the process of inspiration, it has become +7.5. So the change is +2.5 centimeter of water. So for the 2.5 centimeter of water, transpulmonary pressure change will draw 500 ml of air into the lung. So if I ask you, tell me how much air will move in due to 1 unit change of transpulmonary pressure. Can you calculate? Okay, if 500 ml of air movement occur due to changes 2.5 centimeter of water transpulmonary pressure change. So for 1 unit transpulmonary pressure change, there will be movement, net movement of air, that is actually 200 ml of air will move in or out. During the inspiration, it will move in, and during the expiration, it will move out. So that is called the lung compliance. Okay. Okay. Now, what will happen during this is the expiration phase. So when the expiration takes place, this intrapleural pressure that again increases, and -7.5. It will goes back to the initial position, that is -5 centimeter of water. Now the intrapleural pressure also become positive. Now this transpulmonary pressures, this difference decreases. That means now it is +5 centimeter of water, but at the end of the inspiration it was 7.5. Now it is 5. That means transpulmonary pressure decreases. So that will deflate the lung, that will causes movement of air out of the lung. Now the volume goes down. Okay. So actually for the 2.5 centimeter of water, transpulmonary pressure change causes net movement of air, that is about 500 ml. So I can calculate that for each unit increase of transpulmonary pressure change, there will be a movement of 200 ml of air, and that is called the lung compliance. So here you can see what is lung compliance. Compliance of the lung means the extent to which the lung will expand for each unit increase in transpulmonary pressure is called the lung compliance. So initially, here you can see the change of transpulmonary pressure during respiration. So during the resting condition, I have already reached +5, but during the process of inspiration, it become +7.5. So the change is 2.5, and this change of 2.5 centimeter of water transpulmonary pressure change will cause the net movement of air 500 ml. So if I calculate how much air will move in or out if in case of each unit change in transpulmonary pressures. So simply we'll get the value, that's 200 ml. So the total compliance of the lung, that is 200 milliliter of air per centimeter of water transpulmonary pressures. So if the transpulmonary pressure increases by 1 unit or 1 centimeter of water, that means 200 ml of air, it will enter into the lung. On the other hand, if the transpulmonary pressure decreases by 1 centimeter of water pressure, that means 200 ml of air that will move out of the lung. So simply that is called the lung compliance. So thank you very much. That's all for today. So if you find my video useful, please likes, comments, and share. So don't forget to subscribe. So Allah Hafiz for today.